Hey y'all, boardgamerants where you'll find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. And today I'm going to go over Viscounts of the West Kingdom from a solo standpoint. Of course, going to show you a little bit about it and what I'm thinking on the other side. Viscounts of the West Kingdom. We got ourselves the main board here. You got stacks of cards that you can add to your hand. This is a deck building game. And you see you've got a board made up of 5 sections. So modular board, and this can be mixed up, and so the board will come out differently each game. It's kind of fastened all together with this little castle in the middle. Pretty clever. So the pieces don't really go anywhere once you've got them locked in. And you are going to be moving your Viscount around. I'm red in this case, and the AI will be yellow. And you're moving around in kind of a rondel fashion. And in each of these sections here, you've got areas on the board where you can stop. And there's sort of an outside to the wheel. And then there's little paths that work your way inside. And so you'll be moving around and then taking pretty much 4 different actions, depending on where you're at. Now, if you're on one of these spaces on the outside of the wheel, you can take a trade action or a build action. Trading just allows you to, either get some goods or get rid of cards in your deck, for instance. Basically gets you resources to be able to do the other actions and clean up your deck a little bit. The other thing is you can build and place buildings on these little squares, and in that way activate certain stuff as well. Or you can go on the inside of the track, and when the inside of the track, you can work your way up as you you take the castle action, if you will, or you can transcribe, which is getting these little things, which give you end game scoring bonuses, or and a number of little instant stuff, like you'd get 4 coins instantly if you did this action and got this little manuscript. So 4 actions, and you are going to be basically utilizing your player board to do these actions with that deck that you start off with a basic deck, but you'll be playing cards down and then taking actions and then shifting them down. And then, you just kind of keep working your way like this. Each turn, you'll be playing a card, and then you'll be utilizing the symbols there to take one of the 4 actions. And if you can get a certain, the higher number of symbols you can get to support that action, the stronger the action. And so that's how you'll be building your deck, usually, is to get stronger actions of building, or maybe you're going to really work on the castle this game, or whatever. You kind of focus to score some maximum points. And these cards also on the bottom, you've got little actions that either trigger when you put them down, or maybe when they fall off the board, they activate. You're also going to have this management of corruption and virtue, and certain things will trigger these to start moving in on each other, and when they collide, then the other main thing that you'll be managing is collecting debts and deeds. So as I collide further on this side of the board, I'll be getting more deeds, which are red color. Those are better than trying to manage debts, which are black in color. And if you get a debt, it's worth -2 victory points. But if you can pay that debt, then you don't lose any points, and you actually get a resource. With these deeds, and they're all the same, the deeds, you get a deed, you get a victory point. If you manage to flip it over, you're going to get 3 victory points. So all sorts of ways to score points with the deeds and the debts. And then if you manage to build buildings too, you're gonna score points based on the type of building and how many, if you're able to build all 3 of that type. And there's a whole, of course, slew of ways that they enhance your game depending on what you build. And the AI runs very similar. Got a board over here. The board actually on the back of each of these boards, and it comes with 4 boards, is a way that the AI is going to play kind of around a specific action, basically. Like this board is all focused on the AI taking the build action. So that's what you can expect it to do, and how it's probably going to score its most points. It has its own deck, that you'll be flipping over cards and activating actions in a very similar way that you do. This runs very smoothly and very fast. And then you've got resources here that stone helps you build. These little ink things help you do the manuscript action. That's these little doohickeys. And the gold helps you work your way up on the castle, which is pretty cool. As you work your way up, you're going to score points at the end of the game and get all sorts of benefits. And the game ends basically when you run out of either debts or deeds on these cards. And for solo, there's a certain amount. There's 12 debts, 12 deeds, because we're playing solo. And when one of these runs out, you basically end the round. And then there's a whole slew of scoring that involves, who has the most debts or who has the most deeds gets the most points. You'll score your buildings. You'll score the manuscripts if you manage to collect sets of manuscripts, among a few other things. You'll find out who won. That is a little on Viscounts of the West Kingdom. One thing I don't think I mentioned is there is a hand management aspect to this game. You don't just draw cards off the top of your deck and just play blindly. You'll have a hand of at least 3 cards that you'll start each turn with, and you can increase that as well. So the AI just works right off the top of its deck, but you do not. But from the beginning here, setup, teardown, you got like 15 minutes out of the box, I would say, and resetting takes closer to 10 minutes. A lot of stuff to undo and put back together again between games. And I played about 6 games of this now. And you can fit this on, if you put it right, you'll get it on a 3x3 coffee table just fine. The length of play, solid hour, I would say, is what I've been feeling. The components, the value there, I think I got the game on sale, and even without being on sale, these games, along these lines of Paladins and Raiders of the North Sea, and even Circadians First Light. This is Shem Phillips, S.J. McDonald did this game, which did Circadians of the First Light, which I liked that game a lot too. The other games I played along these lines is Paladins of the West Kingdom and Raiders of the North Sea. I never took to Raiders of the North Sea. I think there was a number of reasons, but ultimately I think it was just too light for me. I didn't try it with any of the expansions. Paladins of the West Kingdom, I never even did a full review on that because I felt like I should want to play it, and I didn't. And I have since gotten rid of that game, but I didn't even really know what to say about it. And this game looks so similar, and I was hesitant to get this game. But back to the value, these games, all these games, for the price that you pay, come with spectacular components and just very vibrant to look at. You feel like you got your money's worth, at least from a component standpoint with these games. And usually with the play of these games as well. The theme, it's a Euro. It's a pretty Euro, but it's straight up, tacked on theme like usual. The rulebook was good. I had to look up very little FAQ. And the solo as well, I felt like was well done. There was a couple things that I had to zero in on, but I felt like the rule book was essentially pretty well done. There was some big questions for me that I felt like should have been a little clearer in there, but only 1 or 2 really easy to look up, and the game's very easy to understand. Even though it looks complicated, a lot of moving parts, very easy to understand. All the iconography's there. It really, easy to pick up on this game, especially if you played other ones like it. This is very much like other games, quite frankly. The mechanics are they're beautifully integrated together. And the solo variant plays so much like a human person would. And you would think it could have been a mess. But I believe the solo AI was just fantastically done it utilizes everything, but it does it in such a swift fashion. For those people who, and I don't mind spending a lot of time on an AI as long as it's really going to give me I think it's worth it. But this game, you don't even have to spend any time with the AI, hardly. It moves so quick, just going through it, just very well done. Solo variant, very well done in this game, and all of the mechanics of the 4 basic actions you get to take, They're all kind of related to each other. As you go one direction, it helps the other aspects of the game. Just, yeah, I mean, this is designed from a very experienced team. It feels like it. It's very, very well done. Strategy is definitely there. There is very little luck to this game. I'm not very good at this game. I think I've won against the AI one time. So just, and there's ways too that you can increase the difficulty by starting it with, anyway, it's very easy to ratchet up the difficulty, but I have felt no need or desire to do that whatsoever, about 6 games in here. So replayable as all get out, I would say, because just the deck building itself is quite intriguing, and it really, I think the first game or two, I felt like I just couldn't. I was like buying all these cards and I wasn't able to get to them quick enough. But if you do it right, you can cycle out a lot of cards pretty quick. You just have to do kind of the focus on certain things. And then my last game, actually, I had gotten rid of all my starter cards, and all I had were cards that I bought in my deck. So there's very much a strong feeling of deck building that goes with this game, and among all the different directions you can take, and when you're playing the AI, depending on what the AI is focused on, that's going to kind of, you're probably going to go a different direction. And yeah, you've got the modular board moving around, you've got enough things to be changing that even though there's really only 4 paths or to take, or 4 main actions to focus on 1 or 2 each game, I still haven't had enough of this game. So now, is it up there with, say, Circadians First Light for me, which was kind of my favorite of all these games that I mentioned that I played? I would say yes, but for different reasons, without going into it too much. But I don't know. I had no intention of getting rid of Circadians First Light, but this game I could see myself getting to a point where maybe I would get rid of it down the line. So, but still very good. That's it. Those are my thoughts on Viscounts of the West Kingdom. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. I'm boardgamerants. I'm out.